This is an audiobook created by Subconscious Key Studio. Take a deep, slow breath, and as you exhale, let your attention drift inward. I want you to recall a recent moment of discomfort, a difficult emotion that visited you. Perhaps it was a knot of anxiety tightening in your stomach this morning. Maybe it was the hot, sharp flush of anger in a conversation yesterday. Or it could be that old, familiar heaviness of sadness sitting on your chest like a weight. Got it, that feeling. That specific, tangible, often unwelcome guest in your inner world. What if I were to tell you that this very feeling, this dense, leaden experience, was not a mistake, not a sign of your failure to be spiritual or happy? What if it was, in fact, the exact, necessary raw material required for one of the most profound transformations a human being can undergo? What if your pain was the prima materia, the primary substance for your own golden awakening? Welcome, my friend, to the alchemy of the heart. For centuries, the ancient alchemists worked in their smoky laboratories, surrounded by flasks and furnaces. History books often reduce them to primitive chemists, chasing the foolish dream of turning common lead into physical gold. But for the true sages, this was always a code, a magnificent metaphor for an inner process. The great work of alchemy was never about metal, it was about the soul. It was about taking the base, heavy, chaotic elements of our human experience, our fear, our rage, our grief, our jealousy, and through a precise and sacred process, transmuting them into the gold of consciousness. Wisdom, compassion, courage, and unconditional love. Over the next hour, we will not be building a laboratory of glass and fire. We will be building one of awareness and compassion within the very chamber of your own heart. We will walk through the stages of this inner alchemy together. We will learn to identify the lead, to honor it, to place it in the crucible of our loving attention, and to witness its miraculous transformation. This is not about bypassing your humanity, but about fulfilling it. This is the journey from fragmentation to wholeness. So, find a comfortable position, let your body relax, and let's begin this great work together. Every great work must have a starting point. For the alchemist, this was the prima materia, the primal, chaotic base matter. It was often depicted as a black, dense, worthless lump of lead. In our inner world, this is our raw, unrefined emotional pain. It's the stuff we usually try to hide, to deny, to repress, or to spiritually wish away. I want you to feel into the texture of this lead. Let's give it some form. Fear, for instance, it's not just an idea. It has a sensation. It can feel like a cold, heavy cloak that tightens around your shoulders, constricting your breath, making the world feel small and threatening. Or anger, it can have a sharp, metallic taste on the tongue, a heat that rises up the neck, a tension in the jaw and fists, a blinding, red-hot energy that demands an outlet. And jealousy, oh, jealousy can feel like a sickly, green swirl in the pit of your stomach, a corrosive acid that eats away at your peace, whispering stories of lack and comparison. This is the lead. It is not pretty. It is not enlightened. It is primal and messy. And the first, most courageous act of the inner alchemist is to stop, to turn towards this substance, and to simply acknowledge it. To say, yes, you are here, this anger is here, this fear is here. This is not an admission of failure, it is the beginning of the operation. You cannot transmute what you will not first acknowledge. You cannot turn lead into gold if you are too disgusted by the lead to even pick it up and place it in your crucible. And this is where we so often go astray, especially on a spiritual path. We fall into the trap of what's called spiritual bypassing. This is the use of spiritual ideas and beliefs to avoid, to suppress, or to prematurely transcend the raw, messy, human parts of ourselves. It's a kind of spiritual facade. Let me give you an example. You're in a situation that is genuinely unjust, and a healthy, fiery anger begins to rise in you. But instead of feeling it, you immediately tell yourself, a spiritual person should be peaceful and loving. I should just let this go. So you paste on a smile, you swallow the fire, and you pretend it's not there. That is spiritual bypassing. You've tried to jump straight to the gold without working with the lead. Another example, you experience a profound loss, a heartbreak that brings you to your knees. And almost immediately, your mind, in an attempt to escape the pain, jumps to a spiritual platitude. Well, everything happens for a reason. Now, that statement may ultimately be true, but if it's used to bypass the necessary, watery process of grief, then it becomes a prison, not a liberation. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation of uncried tears. It will never be stable. The alchemist knows that the lead is necessary. The great work cannot begin without it. So, I invite you now into a moment of practice. A small but significant first step. I want you to, without trying to change anything, just see if you can gently invite into your awareness a slight discomfort. It doesn't have to be a huge, overwhelming emotion, just a minor worry, a faint irritation, a background hum of anxiety. Notice it. Now, feel where it lives in your body. Does it have a location? Is it tight or hot or dense or fluttery? Just scan your body with the curiosity of a scientist, an alchemist examining their prima materia. Now simply say to this sensation internally with a neutral, compassionate tone, I feel you. You are here. You are my prima materia. You are the necessary starting point of my transformation. You are not agreeing with the story the emotion tells. You are not feeding it. You are not repressing it. You are simply acknowledging its presence. You are gathering your base material. You are, right now, beginning the great work. And with that acknowledgement, we have honored the lead. Now the transformation can truly begin. The alchemists outlined a beautiful, precise sequence of operations for their work. We will focus on 3 core stages that map perfectly onto our emotional world. The first is Calcinatio, the burning. Now, when we think of fire, we often think of destruction. But in alchemy, this is not a fire of annihilation. It is the focused, purifying fire of conscious, loving awareness. It is the light of your own attention. Up until now, the emotion has been running you, perhaps in the dark. Now you turn on the light. You bring the fire of your awareness to it. Let's take a powerful emotion as our example: rage. Raw, hot, seemingly destructive rage. When it arises, the untrained instinct is either to act it out, to shout, to blame, to break things, or to repress it, to swallow it down, where it becomes bitterness or illness. The alchemist does neither. The alchemist, remembering their courage, turns the fire of their attention upon the rage itself. They feel it in their body, the heat, the tension. They get curious. They ask, with the detachment of a researcher, where exactly is this feeling located? What is its temperature, its texture? This simple act of observation begins to separate you from the emotion. You are not the rage. You are the one witnessing the rage. Then you ask the most powerful question of all. What is the pure, essential message underneath this blaze? What is this fire trying to protect? What boundary has been crossed? What deep value of mine feels violated? What helpless pain is this anger trying to cover up? You see, the fire of awareness burns away the story, the drama, the person you're blaming, the mental commentary. It reduces the chaotic inferno down to its essential core, a profound, often vulnerable truth. The rage, when subjected to the fire of awareness, might reveal itself as a core wound of not being respected, or a deep love for something that felt threatened. The fire doesn't destroy the energy, it refines it. It burns away the impurities, leaving behind a precious, concentrated insight. After the fire comes the water. The next stage is Solutio, the dissolving. Where Calcinatio was about insight and separation, Solutio is about release and reunion. It is the stage of liquidity, of flow. If Calcinatio is the aha moment, Solutio is the sigh, the tear, the letting go. This is the water of tears, of vulnerability, of surrender. Once the fire of your awareness has revealed the essential truth, I am hurt, I feel powerless, I am afraid of being unlovable, you don't just mentally note it and move on. You allow yourself to feel that truth in its entirety. You let it dissolve the rigid structures you've built around your heart. The hardened lump of my righteous anger, now heated and cracked open by the fire of awareness, is washed in the truth of I am deeply, deeply hurt. And in that recognition, tears may come. Not tears of self-pity, but the healing, liberating waters of acceptance. This is where you surrender your resistance. You stop fighting the feeling. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. You let the emotion flow through you, like water over a stone, washing it, smoothing its sharp edges. This stage requires tremendous courage, the courage to be soft, to be undefended, to admit, this hurts. I am sad. I am scared. It is the courage to fall apart, knowing that you are held by something greater than your ego, by your own witnessing presence, by the very process of life itself. In the waters of Solutio, the solidified story of your pain dissolves, and you are returned to a state of raw, authentic, flowing experience. From the formless, flowing waters of surrender, we cannot remain dissolved forever. Life demands form. And so the alchemist moves to the third stage, coagulatio, the reforming. This is the stage of earth. It is where we give our transformed experience a new, solid, embodied shape. We take the essential truth uncovered by the fire and washed by the water, and we ask a new, powerful question. Now that I know this truth, how do I act? What new understanding do I embody? How does this wisdom become a part of my very being? This is where insight becomes integration. It's where the lesson becomes a part of your bone and marrow. Let's return to our examples. The rage that was calcined into a need for self-respect and dissolved in the waters of my vulnerability now, in coagulatio, reforms. It coagulates into a new, firm, but compassionate boundary that you communicate clearly. It becomes the courage to speak your truth. The grief that was calcined into the shape of the love I have lost and dissolved in the river of tears now coagulates. It becomes a deep, abiding connection to that love. It might coagulate into a meaningful ritual, planting a tree, writing a letter, creating a piece of art. It becomes a deeper commitment to cherish the love you still have in your life. Coagulatio is the act of making your pain sacred. You take the raw, leaden emotion, and through this three-stage process, you have now recast it as a golden wisdom, a golden action, a golden part of your character. The energy that was once stuck and toxic is now free and life-giving. This is transmutation. This process can feel abstract, so let me share a story with you. A story from my own life about the alchemy of a particularly sticky and painful emotion, jealousy. A few years ago, I had a colleague, let's call her Sarah. We started our careers at a similar time with similar dreams. Then, quite suddenly, Sarah began to experience a wave of success. A big promotion, public recognition, opportunities landing in her lap that I deeply craved for myself. And with every piece of her good news, I felt a sickening lurch in my gut. The green-eyed monster had taken up residence in my heart. This was my prima materia. It was leaden, heavy, and shameful. I felt like a terrible person. My thoughts were obsessive, bitter. Why her? What does she have that I don't? It's not fair. I'd scroll through her social media, my stomach in knots. I'd put on a fake smile and congratulate her, while inside I was crumbling. This went on for weeks, poisoning my own creativity and joy. Finally, I remembered the alchemy. I knew I had to work with this lead. First, Calcinatio. I sat down with my journal. I turned the fire of my awareness onto the jealousy. I felt its physical sensation, that acidic churn in my stomach. I got brutally honest. I wrote down every bitter, petty thought without judgment. Then I asked the question, what is underneath this? What does this jealousy truly want? After sitting in the fire, the answer emerged, clear and sharp. It wants to feel worthy. It wants that success too. It is terrified of being left behind, of being not enough. The drama of Sarah V's me burned away, leaving the essential core, my own deep-seated insecurity and my own longing for expression. Then, Solutio. I had to dissolve. I put the journal down and just let myself feel the raw vulnerability of that admission. I feel insecure. I feel unworthy. I am afraid I don't have what it takes. And I cried. I cried for the part of me that felt so small and scared. I surrendered to the ache. I let the waters of self-compassion wash over my shame. I stopped fighting the feeling of being inadequate and just let it be there, held in a field of kindness. The hard shell of my jealousy dissolved into a pool of tender, human vulnerability. Finally, Coagulatio. From that soft, authentic place, a new thought began to form, solid and earthy. Sarah's path does not block my own. Her light does not dim mine. In fact, her success is proof that what I desire is possible. My celebration of her can be an affirmation of the success I also wish to create. This wasn't a positive affirmation I forced. It was a truth that coagulated from the processed material. And from that truth, I took action. The next time I saw her, I looked her in the eye, connected to that genuine place of we are on parallel journeys. And I offered a heartfelt, authentic compliment about her work. It didn't feel forced, it felt freeing. The jealousy didn't magically vanish forever, but it lost its power over me. It had been transmuted. The leaden weight of comparison and bitterness had become the gold of self-awareness and a surprising, authentic generosity. My relationship with Sarah improved, but more importantly, my relationship with myself was healed. The immense mental and emotional energy I had been spending on my bitter inner narrative was now liberated, available to pour into my own creative projects. The monster had been alchemized into a mentor. For centuries, the ultimate goal of the alchemist was the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance said to not only turn lead into gold, but also to grant healing and immortality. They searched the external world for its secret recipe. We have been on that same search this past hour, and now we arrive at the great revelation, the secret at the heart of the heart. The Philosopher's Stone is not a thing to be found. It is a capacity to be awakened. It is your own heart, not the physical organ pumping in your chest, but the conscious, loving, witnessing awareness that you have been cultivating throughout this entire journey. You are the stone. Your awakened, compassionate attention is the ultimate catalyst. It is the one agent that can perform this miraculous transmutation, not just once, but continuously for the rest of your life. Every time you turn towards a difficult feeling with curiosity instead of condemnation, you are using the stone. Every time you hold your own vulnerability with tenderness, you are using the stone. Every time you integrate a painful lesson into deeper wisdom, you are using the stone. It was within you all along. The entire laboratory is within you. So as we come to a close, let's practice. Let's actively use the stone right now. Bring your attention to the center of your chest, to your heart space. Imagine, or simply feel, a gentle, warm, golden light beginning to glow there. It's not a bright, blinding light, but a soft, stable, nurturing radiance. This is the light of your own philosopher's stone, your capacity for loving awareness. Now, bring to mind a very slight irritation or worry, just as we did at the beginning, a small piece of prima materia. And in your imagination, place that feeling, that sensation, right inside that warm, golden light in your heart. Don't try to change it. Don't analyze it. Just hold it there in the midst of this loving fire. Surround it with this golden, compassionate awareness. Watch it, feel it. Let your heart's innate intelligence do its work. Softening, illuminating, transmuting. This is your practice. This is the great work. The work is never truly finished, for life will always provide you with more prima materia. But now you know the secret. You have the map. You hold the stone. Go forth and turn your lead into gold.